Hello, my name's Keith Willey from the University of Technology in Sydney, and I've been asked as a previous award winner by some members of the A2E2 executive to make this video to help people who may be going to apply for the award to know what's required and to provide some helpful tips for them in preparing their application. So this video looks at the EER Design Award for rigorous, innovative and transferable research in the field of engineering education. So this award focuses on good, high quality research design. So let's start at the beginning. This is actually from an A2E2 winter school. Well, actually it's from the summer school session that was run in New Zealand. And it just outlines the research process. So we have this phenomenon, this thing in the world that we want to look at. And we read the literature to find out what's been done before. How has it been investigated? What are the gaps? What do we want to do to actually provide more knowledge and information or to confirm about this particular phenomenon? After doing that, we come up with a research question and we look at theories, and there's a bit of an interaction here. You know, what theories or lenses, if you want to think of it that way, have people been able to use to investigate this particular type of phenomenon? After we've done that, we develop a methodology, and it's linked to our research question, and it's informed by the theory of how we're going to actually conduct our research. So as part of our methodology, we decide what's evidence of the phenomenon we're looking for. What is going to be evidence to tell us something about this phenomenon? And then we have to think of a method of the best way to collect that evidence. How are we going to get that evidence? Will it be a survey, or will it be interviews, or will it be through observations or some other method? And then we continue with our analysis, our results, our findings and discussions. So the award looks for this well-planned and well-designed research process. So we think about the epistemology, what kinds of knowledge would tell us about this phenomenon? Our framework, what ideas can explain this phenomenon and that we're interested in? Our research question, what specific questions are necessary to explore this phenomenon, given the theory that we think might explain it? Our methodology is the rationale based on our theoretical framework and research question that guides how we go about answering this question about this phenomenon. And then we have our research method. What data collection instruments are best suited to gathering evidence we need in investigating this phenomenon? When we're looking at our research evidence, we should think about validity. And validity is how accurately our chosen method measures what it's intended to measure. So for instance, if we're interested in how people behave and respond, self-reporting in a survey may not be appropriate. It might be better to interview them to get more in-depth understanding, or actually do an observation study of them while they're undertaking a certain activity. The award also looks for the research design. It wants to see that the methods, the theories are appropriate to the research that you're performing. Why you've chosen these methods and research approach. Do they actually provide good and valid evidence of what you're trying to study and investigate? We also should look at the focus and relevance of the research. So in other words, what research question we have and that we're trying to answer, what phenomenon we're looking at, what is known about this already, or what's unknown? And why does it need to more investigation? What are we actually trying to find out to add to the body of knowledge that's out there at the moment? What are the consequences and implications if this isn't done? And what has your research been able to achieve? What gaps it filled and how can people use it? Is all part of demonstrating the significance of your research. Is it transferable? Can people take it and use your information and your research findings in another context? And what are the implications of those findings for education in general? Well, it's also important to highlight in your award application your research in context. What are the current bodies of knowledge saying about the phenomenon you're looking at? Where does your work situate in the literature? What gap are you addressing? What new knowledge are you contributing? What's the contribution of your research to EER or even beyond that and in other disciplines? What's the significance of your findings and your contribution? Did you, say, for example, apply a theory in a different context than anyone had done before? Have your findings been implemented in practice? You know, what was the knowledge gain? What impact has that actually been able to have? How has your research impacted further research or other research or practice or teaching and learning in general or broader education? Are there any other studies that are built on your findings that are currently being undertaken? You want to look at your results. What original ideas or results of significance has your research produced? What's the potential impact if it hasn't had real impact yet? And not just within EER, but beyond. Have you published journal papers and conference papers? How many citations have you received for these papers? Or have other people springboarded their research and also published about what you've done? This may not be possible if you've just finished off a research project and you're applying for the award. It may not have had time for your publications to actually have received many citations yet. What invitations have you had to speak about your research? What workshops have you run, or how have you passed on the knowledge other than just for publications? And did you collaborate with anyone, or is it leading to new collaborations? Has this been the springboard for you to collaborate now on confirming your findings by doing research with another institution or internationally or nationally? The last thing I'd like to say about the Research Design Award is that I'd love to see all of our EER PhDs applying for this award. So we should be doing quality research. It's been fantastic in the last decade that we're growing, if you want to call it, a lot of contributors and people are doing their PhDs in EER within Australia. It's growing the community and the significance of the work we're producing. So don't just think about taking on a PhD students to advance your own research. Think about taking on students to broaden and strengthen our community. Do your job as a supervisor well. Collaborate with other people. Make sure that you've got a co-supervisor, maybe even from outside the discipline or from another university or with a different perspective. Make sure that you plan publishing for your candidate and yourself within that PhD work.